Take a slow breath before you hear this, because this message carries weight. It did not come to you quickly. It moved through silence, distance, and a lot of hidden pain before reaching you now. And it is reaching you now because time suddenly matters. There is a person in your life who has been holding something inside for far too long, much longer than they would ever admit, much longer than you probably guessed. They did not wake up one morning and stop caring. They did not truly forget you. They did not really move on the way they tried to make it seem. What they actually did was push their feelings down because they did not know what else to do with them. But feelings buried that deep do not disappear. They wait, they build pressure, and sooner or later, they rise back up. This message is not coming from peace. It is coming from fear, from panic, from a heart that is no longer able to hide from itself. Something shifted very recently. Maybe they saw a sign that reminded them of you. Maybe they heard your name. Maybe life got quiet enough for truth to finally be louder than distraction. Whatever it was, it shook them awake. And now they are facing one hard thought they kept trying to avoid. They may lose you for good. That truth did not arrive softly. It landed late at night, in the stillness, when staying busy no longer worked. So keep listening, because what comes next matters more than it first appears. This person is not calm inside. Their mind is restless, their heart feels heavy, their spirit does not feel settled. They are noticing something painful now. No one else affects them the way you did. No one else listened the way you listened. No one else understood them without making them explain every little thing. No one else made them feel safe without making them feel trapped. And that is when the feeling of urgency began. Not just love, not just missing you. Fear, the fear of losing something they may never be able to replace. If they could speak without pride, without ego, and without hiding, they would tell you they should have acted sooner. They would tell you they thought there was more time. They would tell you they never believed you would actually pull away like this. They did not understand that silence can wound someone deeply. They are learning now that doing nothing is still a choice, and that choice cost them closeness with you. They feel bad for not being there when it counted. They feel bad for not using words when you needed comfort. They feel bad for staying guarded when honesty was the one thing that could have changed everything. At the time, being quiet felt safer. Keeping distance felt stronger. Avoiding the issue felt like control. But avoidance always leaves damage behind, and now they are sitting inside the result of everything they refused to face. If this is touching something in you, stay with me, because the deeper truth is only starting to unfold. This person struggles with emotion, not because they feel too little, but because they feel too much and do not know how to carry it in a healthy way. Opening up to you meant risk. It meant possible rejection. It meant losing control of the image they tried to protect. It meant looking at parts of themselves they were not ready to see. So instead of facing their heart, they let fear decide. They let pride speak. They let silence do the talking for them. And now those hidden choices have become real consequences. They can feel you changing. That part is important. Your energy is not the same. Your reactions are different. Your silence feels heavier than your words used to. You may still care, but you are no longer chasing clarity. You are no longer explaining yourself again and again. You are no longer staying in a painful place just to keep the bond alive. And that frightens them more than they expected. They leaned on your patience far more than they should have. They leaned on your kindness. They counted on your softness while they stayed shut down and hard to reach. They assumed you would keep understanding them forever. They assumed you would wait. But something in you has changed. You started choosing yourself. Quietly, clearly, and now they can feel it. What scares them is not only losing you as a person, it is losing the feeling they had with you. The feeling of being seen without judgment. The feeling of emotional safety they did not know how to protect. The feeling of home they never learned how to care for. And once someone realizes too late what they had, the panic begins. They are asking themselves a question that keeps getting louder. Did they ruin the one connection that truly mattered? That question follows them in quiet moments. It stays with them when they try to move on. It rises when they meet other people and immediately feel the difference. This is where the hurry comes from, not from trying to control you, but from realizing time may no longer be on their side. They feel a door closing, not with a dramatic ending, not with a loud goodbye, just a soft, quiet closing. And sometimes that is the most final kind, because once a door closes that way, it rarely opens easily again. They want to reach out, they want to explain, they want to say sorry the right way, without excuses, without defense, without turning the story back onto themselves. But fear is still fighting them. Fear says it may already be too late. Fear asks, what if you no longer care? Fear tells them that if they show their real feelings, they may be rejected. So they wait, they hesitate, they type messages and erase them. They rehearse conversations in their mind that never happen in real life. And all the while, the pressure inside keeps growing. This is not a promise that everything will work out. It is more like a confession. They know now they were wrong to take you for granted. They know now they did not understand your value until they felt your absence. And that kind of truth hurts most when it comes after damage has already been done. Keep watching, because the next part is not about them. It is about your power in all of this. This message is not telling you to wait. It is not asking you to forgive them. It is not trying to push you back into old pain. It is only showing you what is true beneath the silence. You mattered more than they ever admitted. Your absence speaks louder to them now than your presence did before. And what you both shared was real, even if it was handled badly. But your next step belongs to you. Real power does not rush just because someone else is suddenly in a hurry. That is the part many people miss. Urgency does not mean readiness. Someone can feel afraid of losing you and still not be prepared to love you well. Someone can miss you deeply and still not know how to show up right. Your person feels pressure now because they are finally living with the result of who they were when it mattered most. And consequences do not care about comfort. They show up when avoidance stops working. They are replaying moments they once treated like nothing. Small talks, missed chances, quiet nights. Times you reached toward them and they stayed distant. Times you needed reassurance and they gave you silence instead. Those moments feel different to them now because loss changes memory. Once someone feels they are losing access to you, even ordinary memories begin to shine. They remember how you checked on them without being asked. They remember how you noticed when their mood changed. They remember how you tried to understand instead of blame. And now all of that care feels heavy because they see how much you were giving while they were holding back. If you have ever felt unseen in this connection, this part is important. Do not skip over it. They are beginning to understand that you were meeting them at a depth they were not ready for. You offered presence, not perfection. You wanted consistency, not intensity. You were not asking them to become someone else overnight. You only wanted them to be honest, to be there, to be real. But they kept choosing comfort over courage. They kept telling themselves they were not ready. The hard truth is that readiness is often a choice, and they did not choose it when you were offering your heart openly. That realization stings now because the offer is no longer there in the same way. They feel the shift in your voice, in your energy, in your lack of chasing. You are not trying to prove your worth anymore. You are not begging to be understood. You are not fighting to keep something alive all by yourself. And that changes the whole structure they had grown used to. They thought your gentleness meant forever. They thought your patience had no limit. They did not realize that self-respect always arrives, even if it comes quietly. Now they are caught inside a painful split. They want to reach out, but they do not want to begin something they cannot sustain. They want to apologize, but they are afraid of making promises they may fail to keep. They want closeness, but they fear the work real closeness requires, so they stay trapped between desire and fear, between wanting you and staying away from you. And that is why their energy feels so tangled. Their feelings and their actions do not match, and that mismatch is creating chaos inside them. They imagine saying the right words. They picture brave moments. They imagine becoming the version of themselves that should have shown up earlier. But imagination is safe. Real life is not. Real life asks for action. Real life asks for change that can be seen, repeated, and trusted. And that is exactly where their fear gets stronger. Because deep down, they know words may not move you now the way they once could. You are no longer waiting to be softened by apologies. You are watching patterns. You are watching effort. You are watching whether actions line up with what is said. That does not mean you feel nothing. It means you have grown, quietly, strongly. You have sat with disappointment. You have dealt with sadness. You have let reality become clear. And while you were doing that, they were still running from themselves. Now they are only beginning the inner work you already started. That difference in timing matters. Growing after loss is not the same as growing while love is still safe in your hands. They know that now. They know even if they speak to you today, things cannot simply go back to the old version. And what they miss most may not even be the present version of you. It may be the version of you that trusted them fully, believed in them easily, and stayed emotionally open without needing proof. But trust does not reset because someone finally feels regret. It rebuilds slowly, if it rebuilds at all, and that truth is standing in front of them like a wall they can no longer pretend not to see. Right now they stand at a doorway. Behind them is the comfort of staying silent. In front of them is the risk of truth. They know if they do nothing, they may lose you completely. But they also know that speaking means facing themselves honestly, and that is what they have avoided for so long. What you have been feeling is not just confusion, it is a shift in the whole dynamic. They are finally meeting truth, and you are no longer standing in the center of their struggle trying to save it for them. You have stepped forward. That changes everything. There is also a quiet truth moving underneath this whole situation. Loss does not always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes as distance. Sometimes it comes as a change in tone. Sometimes it comes as a calm withdrawal that no argument can undo. They can feel that now. They feel it when they think about contacting you and realize they no longer know what you will say. They feel it when they picture you moving ahead without them, not in anger, but in clarity. They feel it when they notice that the version of you who used to wait is no longer there. That thought shakes them because it cannot be controlled. Charm cannot fix it. Delay cannot hide it. Distraction cannot numb it. They are finally facing the truth that this was not only bad timing or bad luck. It was fear. Fear of being seen. Fear of failing. Fear of holding something precious and not knowing how to protect it. And fear, left unchallenged long enough, becomes loss. They keep remembering moments when they almost said something true but stopped. Times when they saw your confusion and still chose silence. Times when they could have comforted you and did not. Back then, those moments felt small. Now they feel heavy. They are starting to understand that you did not suddenly leave. You slowly adjusted to the way they treated you. You saw reality. You stopped doing all the emotional work. You stopped assuming good intentions when actions kept failing to show them. You stopped hurting yourself just to keep the bond alive. That change did not happen in one dramatic night. It happened little by little. And because you did not make a scene, they did not notice at first, but they notice now. They notice you do not lean on them the same way. They notice you do not seem as affected by what they think. What truly scares them is your calm. Calm often means acceptance. Calm often means a decision has already been made in the heart. Calm means you are no longer fighting reality. They are used to intensity. They know how to respond to drama, confusion, emotional noise. But they do not know what to do with clarity. They do not know what to do with someone who has become steady. That steadiness forces them to see that even if they return, you are not standing in the old place anymore. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are standing in self-respect. And that raises the stakes, because now they know they cannot simply come near you with the same old habits and expect the same old access. That is why their fear has become more complicated. They are afraid that reaching out will expose how unready they still are. They are afraid that even if you listen, they may not become the person you need. They are afraid you see them more clearly than they see themselves. And truth like that is difficult to hide from. They want to tell you they cared. They want to explain the silence. They want to say they were overwhelmed, confused, scared, and not sure how to handle the bond. But they are learning a painful lesson. Understanding something late does not erase the wound it caused. Good intentions do not cancel real hurt, and sorry means very little if behavior stays the same. They know this, and that is exactly why they pause. They are stuck between who they used to be and who they might still become. Growth is possible, but growth is painful. It asks them to drop the shield. It asks them to stop hiding behind distance, timing, and excuses. It asks them to admit that the connection was real and that they mishandled it. And even if they do all that, they may still not get another chance. That is the real pressure they feel. Not only the risk of losing you, but the risk of becoming honest too late. If you are still here, listen closely, because this next part is where the message becomes even clearer. What they are feeling is not just longing, it is a forced awakening. An awakening is never comfortable when it comes through regret. They are realizing you were like a mirror. Through you they saw what depth looked like, what honesty looked like, what steady care looked like. And instead of meeting that reflection, they turned away from it. Now that you are not there in the same way, they feel the loss of that mirror. They feel cut off from a part of themselves they only touched through you. That is making them ask difficult questions about why they were so afraid of openness. why they ran from real closeness, why they stayed guarded when what they wanted most was connection. Growth catches up to everyone eventually, and that is what is happening now. They feel regret, yes, but they also respect you. They respect the fact that you did not collapse when they pulled away. You did not beg endlessly. You did not stay small to keep them comfortable. You got stronger. You chose your value. You became clearer. And that clarity makes them respect you even more, while also making them feel the weight of what they may have lost. They know now you are not someone they can treat carelessly anymore. They know that if they come back at all, it would have to be with real effort, real honesty, and real change. No mask, no easy words, no half-hearted return. That is why they are so uncertain. They do not want to return as the same person, but they also do not fully know who they are without the walls they have lived behind for so long. So they stay there between old habits and possible growth, feeling the clock move, and that brings the truth back to you. Their urgency is real, but your decision still belongs to you. You do not have to rush because they finally feel the loss. You do not have to reopen a door just because they now hear it closing. You do not have to trade your peace for their late understanding. What matters most is not whether they feel something, it is whether that feeling becomes honest action, steady effort, and real change over time. That is the standard now. Not emotion alone, not words alone, not a dramatic return built on fear. You have already learned something important. Love without clarity can drain you, and patience without limits can hurt you. So if they come forward, let their actions speak slowly. Let time show you what is true. Let consistency answer the questions words cannot. Because this situation is no longer about proving your value to them. That part is over. They already feel your value now. The deeper question is whether they can rise to meet it. And until that answer becomes real, your peace comes first. So yes, this person feels the pressure. Yes, they are waking up to what they lost. Yes, they are afraid the chapter may close without them ever saying what should have been said. But your life is not meant to pause inside someone else's late realization. Your power is in your calm. Your strength is in your clarity. And whatever happens next, never forget this. You were important all along, even when they lacked the courage to show it.